Breaking news as we come on the air tonight. San Antonio Police Chief William McManus confirming 4 officers have been shot. This is all unfolding off Stone Oak Parkway and Santera Place.
There is a massive police presence on the north side right now, again, in the Stone Oak area. We're told it is still a very active scene. This video that you're looking at right now is from KENS 5 viewer Joseph Laredo, and it shows how that scene has developed tonight. That's where we find KENS 5 reporter Mike Jimenez. Mike, we understand that this happened at an apartment complex. What else do we know at this point?
Well, Easties and Henry, information is very limited other than those 4 officers being shot. All we can tell you is what we are hearing and what we are seeing. And we have heard, since we have been here, several gunshots coming from that apartment complex area. Now, we are located here off of Santera Place, but the call came in around 8:30 for a shooting in the 18,700 block of Stone Oak Parkway at the Santera Heights apartment for a suicide call where those 4 officers were shot. Now, we do know that there is a huge police presence here. We've seen dozens of SAPD officers in tactical gear, as well as DPS troopers arriving here in tactical gear, all heading towards that apartment complex. Now, we've also seen SAPD SWAT vehicles as well, and several choppers flying over the complex. Now, just a short time ago, we left another area just a couple of blocks from here in the parking lot of Cornerstone Church, where there was a medical staging area. Now, there we witnessed 2 officers being loaded up into ambulances. Now, police are expected to give us information, but we don't know exactly when at another location not too far from here, but we do have another crew there waiting for police to speak with them. For now, that's the very latest here. Mike Jimenez, KENS 5.
Mike, really quickly, can you set the scene for us in terms of where you are live right now? We know this is happening in Stone Oak. We know it is off Stone Oak Parkway on Santera Place. Where exactly are you? Actually, Mike, hold tight for us. We understand that Chief McManus has just arrived for a press conference. Let's go ahead and listen in.
And right now we are awaiting, this is a live view right now. This is outside the Valera where Chief McManus is about to speak, where 4 officers have been shot. Let's take a listen in.
What we know right now, we had officers responding to a suicide in progress call. We had, ultimately we had 4 officers shot responding to that call. Those officers have between 4 and 8 years on the department. First officer arrived to that call. There was a call from a family member. He arrived on the scene and he wound up being shot. He was shot in the lower extremity. Another officer who arriving after him, or about the same time as him, was also shot. Third officer arriving on the scene, shot as well. And then finally, the 4th officer who arrived on the scene was shot. I believe that was in the upper torso. This is all preliminary information, could change. All 4 of those officers have been transported to the hospital. As far as I know right now, they are non-life-threatening injuries, and the scene is still hot. So we are working on a plan right now to try and get the shooter out, and that's where we are right now.
We've been made aware that people were told to evacuate their units but aren't sure where to go. What is that situation looking like right now?
Say that again?
We were told that people were made to evacuate from their units. What does that situation look like right now?
The folks who were able to be evacuated were evacuated. The others who were not able to be evacuated safely were not. That's where we stand right now. So right now, SWAT is setting up, trying to get this individual out. Once they have a plan, we'll see how that goes. And that's all I have for you right now.
Any identity on the individual at all?
Pardon?
Any identity that we can share?
It's just a male in his 40s.
Male in his 40s.
Yeah, that's all I got for you.
Thank you guys.
Right, thanks.
Thank you.
All right, you have been listening in on a live press conference from San Antonio Police Chief William McManus, where we understand a little bit more of what's happening there in the Stone Oak area. As you just heard there, McManus confirming that 4 officers were shot tonight, all ranging in years of experience from 4 to 8 years. As you heard him say there, the first officer who was responding to this suicide in progress call was shot, and then subsequently officers 2, 3, and 4 were also shot.
And the injuries that he only mentioned, because the big question right now, he said these are non-life-threatening injuries with these officers. All we know that McManus said with the first officer is that he was shot somewhere in the lower extremity, and then the 4th officer, he said somewhere in the upper torso area. They have been sent to the hospital at this moment. The other big thing that he mentioned right now, as he mentioned, the scene is hot, so it's still an active scene right now at this apartment complex.
As you heard him say there, SWAT has been called in. That shooter is still not out, which makes this a very dangerous situation, not only for the police that are responding, but for the residents who live there. This is a very high populated area. Across the street from there is commercial. A lot of that is closed at this hour, but this is a very large apartment complex there on Stone Oak Parkway with a lot of people nearby. So obviously, if you're in that area, you should stay inside. We have been hearing reports throughout the night of helicopters and sirens overhead, so residents should stay inside as this is a very active scene.
A lot of SWAT members, we've heard BCSO, DPS out there, so if you're just joining us right now, but just to recap really quickly, we heard from Chief McManus, who says 4 officers have been shot, non-life-threatening injuries. Of course, our thoughts are with the department right now as this is all unfolding right now. But we do want to show you some videos that we just mentioned at the top of our newscast. As EC's mentioned, this is happening at an apartment complex where the shooting happened.
And you can see neighbors, let's take a look at that video here, gathering to watch this dramatic scene unfold. Then you can hear a series of gunshots followed by officers screaming commands to each other on the ground. They're also telling people to get back inside. And
moments ago, right, I would say probably before this newscast, 20 minutes, I reached out to Joseph Loredo, who lives at Santera Heights Apartments. This is where all of this is unfolding. He told me he was studying for his exam. He heard one gunfire, and then after that, it just kept going. Let's take a listen to what he had to tell me.
I just heard like a loud pop. It was like a single pop. I didn't think much of it, and my mom's living with me, so she told me to come outside the balcony because she heard a lot of noise. And then sure enough, when we go outside the balcony, we hear a bunch of helicopters. And then literally 20 seconds after we were like out there, we heard more shots. It was like 2 or 3 shots. And I told my mom, I was like, hey mom, those are gunshots.
And that was Joseph Loredo there again. He lives at Santera Heights. He lives with his mom on the 3rd floor. He said at first when he heard that first gunshot, he was like, oh, maybe this is just, something. And then he kept hearing more. So he went outside, and then all of a sudden he says, you may have heard him there, he sees an officer duck down with his gun. And then it kept hearing more gunfire. Then all of his neighbors kept rushing out. Quite a scary situation. I'd asked him, give me an idea of who lives at this apartment complex. I mean, families. Yeah. And this is happening after 9 o'clock at night. Most families trying to get ready for the next day. I mean, just scary, intense moments for all of them to see this.
And just to recap for those of you joining us, again, this is happening on the 18,700 block of Stone Oak Parkway. A better way to look at this is if you are familiar with Cornerstone Church, which is right on the corner of 1604 and Stone Oak Parkway. It's right next to that. Right. If you're on Stone Oak Parkway, which I know is a really, really large street, it's the side that's closest to the highway on 1604 at the Santera Heights apartment complex. 4 officers shot. This all started unfolding around the 8 o'clock hour. And as you just heard there, the 4 officers have been taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries, thankfully. But we are still waiting here until they get a handle on this scene and get this suspected shooter out.
And that's the big point right now, ECs, is that the chief mentioned, I mean, this is hot. So right now it's still an active threat. I believe we're told we have our Simone Simpson, another crew member there near this area. Simone, tell us exactly where you're at right now and what exactly are you hearing and what you're seeing.
Henry, yes, we're posted at a Valero near Loop 1604 right now. That's where police asked us to post for sound. And so we just heard some preliminary information from Chief McManus, who stated that this is a suicide in progress. He did state that SWAT is currently setting up and that the suspect has not yet been apprehended, as you heard earlier, or if you're just joining us right now, that this is a very active scene, as you heard ECs and Henry Henry described, 4 officers have been injured. It was varying from the lower extremity to the upper torso, and they were non-life-threatening injuries. Each of the officers vary in their years of experience, some being 4 years of experience, some being 8 years of experience on the force. Right now, the information is very limited, but we will continue to work tonight and find out more information as the details become available. But for right now, reporting live from Loop 1604, Simone Simpson, KENS 5.
Thank you, Simone. And just for context, Simone is actually across the street from Stone Oak. There's a little shopping center and then Cornerstone Church. She's across the street at that Valero, out of harm's
right there
way.
in the corner, yes.
Yeah, out of harm's way because we have been pushed back. Media has been pushed back quite a bit. We want to go back to Mike McManus. We were in the middle of talking to Mike and kind of setting the scene there before we went to the police chief's presser. Mike, what can you tell us about the scene and where you're at right now? Can you kind of set the scene for us in terms of what you're seeing? I can hear the helicopter as we're taking your live shot.
Yeah, no, the scene is still very, very active. In fact, while we were hearing from Chief McManus, we did see the hostage negotiation team from SAPD in a large van make their way into the apartment complex. Let me actually step away here so you can kind of take a look at the scene here. So we are on Santera Place, blocked off. They have here before the entrance to the apartment complex. I mean, there are just dozens of police officers out here. We've also seen DPS troopers out here. We've seen SWAT team, all of them wearing tactical gears, some of them carrying rifles. And since we've been here, we have heard several gunshots being fired there. So it is still very, very dangerous if you're here in this area. Definitely stay away from here. And this is once again happening in the 18,700 block of Stone Oak Parkway at the Santera Heights apartment. Now, of course, there seems to be that SAPD is going to be here for quite some time. And of course, as Henry mentioned, you know, our thoughts and prayers right now are with SAPD and those officers. For now, that's the very latest. Mike McManus, KENS 5.
And Mike, I do want to get to you really quickly because before that we actually moved to this new location, you were at Cornerstone Church, and I believe that you were seeing some action when you first got there to the scene after we were hearing all of this unfold. Can you kind of tell us, paint the picture for our viewers at home as well, exactly what you were seeing in those moments?
Yeah, so we were just a couple of blocks over at Cornerstone Church in that parking lot, and there was quite a few ambulances and also several dozen police cars out there as well. And while we were waiting to kind of figure out where was a safe location to be for this, we did notice that some of the, a couple of officers were brought there and were loaded up into ambulances. And then we did see those ambulances being taken away, obviously taking those officers to the hospital.
Mike, I know you mentioned that you're off Santera Place. Can you kind of pan around with your photographer to give us a better picture of where exactly you are in relation to this apartment complex? We can kind of see, I know it's hard to see because it's dark outside right now. We can see some activity behind you, but where are you in relation to this apartment complex?
Yeah, so Stephen, if you will turn around the camera just to get a better idea of where we're at, you can see the highway maybe about 100 yards away from there. And so we're here on Santera Place, and it is obviously blocked off. They're not allowing anyone to go past this point. And like I said, it's lots of police presence still out here. We're actually right in front of Franklin Park living facility, which is here in the 18th of Santera Place.
So those cars
and of course, like I said, it's a very, very active scene.
You mentioned that the roads are blocked off. I know that I saw the access road to 1604 earlier that was blocked off. What street is that we're looking at right now? Is that Stone Oak Parkway or Santera Place?
So
And are
this
those
is Santero.
cars?
No,
Okay.
this is Santero Place that we are looking at right now. And so people are actively trying to, obviously, maybe making their way home and trying to get to their apartment complex, but they are obviously being turned away by police. They obviously don't know what's going on at this point. So police are actively, moving traffic or diverting traffic away from this area and pushing them back towards 1604 as well.
All right, thanks so much,
And so,
Mike.
like I said, there's just a huge presence out here. Yeah.
Absolutely. And again, just to reiterate what the chief had mentioned to us moments ago, it's active because right now it seems like they don't have the suspected shooter in custody right now. So it's still an active scene and tense moments that have been unfolding the last 2 hours, CC's.
Absolutely. And you heard one of the reporters asking Police Chief William McManus earlier about evacuations at the apartment complex. We were fortunate enough to speak to one of the witnesses earlier today who saw a lot of this unfold.
Yeah, Joseph Loredo, he lives with his mom on the 3rd floor, and this is at Santera Heights. This is the apartment in question, again, off Santera Place and Stone Oak Parkway. He had mentioned he had just heard one gunshot, then he heard several others. I believe we have some more eyewitness account from him. Let's take a listen.
The moment I came outside, I saw one of the SAPD officers on the ground. It looked like he got shot. The only reason why I feel like he got shot is because I think they were putting like a tourniquet on him, and they dragged him away. And then ever since then, it was kind of just like a standoff at that point.
So what you heard Joseph just mention there, that he saw one of those officers that was injured. And then obviously he saw all the other officers, his fellow brothers and sisters, rush to his aid, apply a tourniquet, and then pull him away. So to recap, 4 officers have been shot, all non-life-threatening injuries at this point, according to the chief, and have been taken to the hospital.
A very dangerous situation unfolding right now in Stone Oak. We're going to continue to follow this breaking news, and we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.